Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. On my Instagram, at the _offstage_me, I have been sharing a number of the little artworks and bits and pieces that I've been doing recently. Just little doodles and ink drawings and things like that. And occasionally I get questions about the stuff that I use. So I thought today what I'd do is just a walkthrough of my little art case. Now, this camera angle doesn't really work for this. I can't quite get the camera high enough to show it all opened up sideways. So it'll be a little bit, you know, sort of side on and stuff, but we'll make it work. But yeah, I just thought I'd walk you through my case and then show a couple of the other little bits. So firstly, this case is just I suppose it's a Vashi case. I bought this on Amazon. It was like 15 Australian dollars or something. It's, you know, it's nothing fancy, but it's got a little handle, it's got a nice big zip and a nice big open compartment and a couple of little sleeves that you can take in and out. But yeah, let's have a look through. I'll talk about each of the items and we'll see what's in there. So first, open up the top, and I'll turn it sideways. We'll see what we can get in there. So basically, it's got these little mesh sleeves on this front side, 2 zips, 2 compartments. In the back compartment, I keep first thing, like a simple plastic ruler, like nothing fancy, just for straight lines. And this is a linen sketchbook from Maruman, who make really lovely paper, Japanese stuff. It's quite like, it's slightly yellow paper and it's very thin, but it's really nice for like pencil sketching and stuff like that, and nice to have something sort of quite nice just sitting there ready to go. In the other compartment are sort of my smaller bits that I use a lot. So for instance, there's an eraser, and I use a Faber-Castell dust-free, you know, eraser. Does the job, and I actually really quite like these. You'll see there's a lot of Faber-Castell products in here. These are items I've collected over a number of sort of years and stuff, but Faber-Castell pops up a lot. I think they're just really good, and they're super widely available. So yeah, just a simple plastic eraser. Like, it's just good to sort of have. Yeah, it does the job. I carry 2 of these little, if I can get them out, like little foldable clips. I think these were just from my local Officeworks store, and they just, they're good for holding, you know, books open that don't lie flat and stuff like that. Super handy. And a sharpener. Once again, Faber-Castell. This is just their metal 2-hole sharpener. And once again, these things do the job. I'm not about having fancy, you know, things, you know, that sort of, look nice. I want stuff that does the job and actually really works for me. And then the other thing I carry in here is a little Ziploc bag with a couple of fountain pen ink cartridges. These are Pelikan 4001 Black, which is what I have in my Muji Fountain Pen over here for when I do ink sketching. Good simple ink, not too wet, but also like doesn't smear when you erase. If I do like a grey lead sketch and then sort of go over it in fountain pen, it won't smudge when I go to erase the grey lead, like some other inks do, which has been a problem that I've had to sort of really work through. So then we look at this top sleeve, and these are sort of like little like book style, page style opening sleeves, and with a number of elastics. The elastics are a bit tight on this to have like too many bigger items, and some of the others have like bigger elastics, which makes it much better. But yeah, we'll run through this. So this is a trusty old Palomino Blackwing Volume 4, which has been worn down. It's just a quick sketch, easy pencil. Just a number 3 paper stump. That's a J. Burrows, once again from Officeworks. Then I've got some Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pens. So I have the warm grey number 5, the 274, and the cold grey number 3, 232. These are really cool. I really like these a lot. So they're like a little bit of a brush pen. These are the B for the like brush. Like if I'm doing lettering and stuff like that, I got the dark grey and the lighter grey, because like I like to do lettering and then shadow it in the lighter grey, which I think actually looks kind of cool. And then I've just got like the black 199.7 Fineliner from Faber-Castell, which is similar to like any Fineliner. I have a couple of Artline drawing pens, a 0.3 and a 0.8. These are, once again, Fineliners. So they've got like the little felt tip there on the end. They're really great. You know, like you get like the Micron ones as well, and Uni have a brand as well. Just good for sort of ink drawing. I used to carry around, it's actually in here, a little Moleskine sketchbook, and I'd just draw randomly, like when I was on a plane or something like that. When we could be on a plane. This is being filmed in October, end of October 2020, and we're just coming out of some pretty harsh lockdowns here in Melbourne, but travel, you know, from COVID-19, but travel is just about wiped out. The other two items I have in this top tray are for my sketching, and one is a Blackwing Volume 42, which is a balanced graphite, and then the 8B Faber-Castell 9000 series pencil. These 9000 series, these are my sketching pencils of choice, and I normally have like a 2B, a 4B, and maybe an 6 or 8B. I'm finding the 8B really nice at the moment. Nice light touch, gets you some really interesting sort of shading effects. Okay, then we look over into the next little side, and I have my colouring pencils. Now, these are the Polychromos pencils from Faber-Castell, once again, available individually through my local sort of office supply store, which is why I have this set. You'll see another one over here. I'll come to that one in a second. But I wanted to buy a set of 12, like there are 12 slots here, so I thought I'd get a set of 12. I just didn't like the colours in the 12 pack. Like, they didn't speak to me. So I made a little custom set with a few sort of warmer, like a slightly warmer blue and a warmer green there, and a more chocolatey walnut brown. I've actually scribbled all these out to show you, so let's just cut to that now. So this is my selection of the Polochromos pencils from Faber-Castell. As far as I'm aware, these are an oil-based pencil. Correct me if I'm wrong. But as I said, I wanted to put together like a custom set of 12. And so this is what I sort of came up with after going through them all and looking at different colours. This is just a visual art diary, simple, you know, heavyweight paper, you know, book. And what I have here is burnt umber which is 280, 192 Indian red, 118 scarlet red, 111 cadmium orange, 185 Naples yellow, 165 juniper green, 168 earth green yellowish, which I really quite enjoy, 140, which is the light ultramarine, 246, which is the Prussian blue, then two greys. You find grey a lot in my stuff. Greys, I'm a big fan of the colour grey. 272 warm grey 3 and 275 warm grey 6. Once again, nice for shading, stuff like that. You see, I don't have a black, but this warm grey is quite close to black for sort of drawing, and I do tend to then, you know, fill in with either a black like Fineliner, like the Artline set, for, you know, or a fountain pen like the Muji Fountain Pen I have there. And then I have 136 purple violet. So nice little colour range, nice for my drawing, a little bit warmer, not quite so sort of in-your-face bright colours. And not that I use colour a lot, but when I do, these are the sorts of colours I like to use. Okay, now we come to this next little slot, which is a little bit sort of more bitsy. I have a fine eraser here. This is Tombow mono, you know, eraser. It's like one of those retractable ones, but it's super fine. It's not the greatest eraser in terms of like how it actually erases on the page, but it's fine enough to be able to like do some of that detail work if I want to, you know, remove something without removing everything. It's a little bit more, just a little bit more precision. I have a number 2 paper stump there, once again, J. Burrows, and I have 2 paint brushes. Now I use these for these are my ink brushes. I do some watercolor work, but these I use for paint, for ink, as you can see, like that one's been stained. And the 2 brushes I have, these are Roymac flat, 1/4 inch, number 4, and then this is a Micador. And then I've got the number 2 round brush, very fine. Really handy to have, good for moving water and ink sort of around when I'm wanting to do washes in some of my artwork. You'll notice I have 2 water pens here. I think this one was from Daiso, I'm not really sure. It's just a regular cheap one. this is one I use for painting, watercolor paint. Like, it's really nice. It's not too wet, which I really enjoy. The Faber-Castell one over here is slightly wetter. I use this for art, and like, if you're not familiar with water brushes, you put water in this little reservoir, and it feeds down to a brush, which then allows you to, sort of, if you're doing watercolor paint work or ink work, to, paint as normal, but the water reservoir is in the pen. Then I have this, which I really like. This is the Marupen. It's actually a fountain pen that has a glass nib option. So it's not like a glass nib like with a converter, although you can put a converter in here when it is on fountain pen mode. But it's just like a glass dip pen, which I once again use for my ink drawing. So I dip it in the bottle or the sample vial, I do my drawing, and then it's easy to clean off without having to fill a pen or sort of do too much in terms of wicking and things like that to keep it clean. Over this side is blank. I don't put stuff in here yet. I don't feel the need to. This is my junky section, but almost the funnest part of it. So I mentioned the Moleskine mini sketchbook that I used to carry around, and this is that. So like I said, draw on planes, I drew the scene in front of me, or a fountain pen, or a scene from Melbourne, stuff like that. I really quite like that drawing. That's the art centre here in Melbourne. I miss this. This is where I used to do some of my singing, pre-COVID. Nice little book, not super ink resistant, but does the job, and good size. I really quite like the size of that. Some paper towel, like for ink drawing, like I just blot up little bits, or clean up excess water and stuff like that. So I just keep a sheet of paper towel in there always. Then I have this. This is a new one because I haven't started this one. I just finished my previous one of these. It's a B6 sketchbook from Maruman. This is also from Daiso. Like it's cost me $2.80 Australian or something. And it's just plain nice quality drawing paper. You can handle a bit of wet media, so you can use ink, you can use a little bit of water, stuff like that. But really for sketching and stuff, I find these really nice. Then we get all the stuff. So I have this wide brush. Now this is not for painting. This is actually just for cleanup. One thing I hate is the dust and the roll of rubber that you get after you use an eraser. And so to not disturb things, I'd use a brush to clean it off. So I just once I'm done, I just, clean off the page. It's totally unnecessary, but it's just something that I do. I have a tiny little jar of water here. Super handy for, watercolor painting and cleaning brushes and stuff like that. Just handy to have, and put it in a good quality, container with a good seal and all of that, so it doesn't go anywhere. I have a little Windsor Newton set of watercolor paints. These is the half palette ones, and I don't use these a lot, but the colors I have used have either been replaced out of here. Like I tend to use these sort of browny umber colors quite a lot, and then these other colors I've used more, so greens and browns and blues. Nice little brush in there, nice little set. Like it has the little palettes and all those sorts of things. So the half pan, I think these are called, aren't they? Half pan sets. I don't use a lot of watercolor paints, particularly these kinds, but these are really nice to use, and they have a great color range, and these little half palettes are really easy to come by as well. Next, under here, this is the other watercolor set that I carry. This is a Koh-i-noor palette. You can see Koh-i-noor. So it's just 4, little discs of watercolor paints. One review, and I totally agree with this, said that it's missing a purple, and I really wish there was a purple, but with the reds and the blues, you can easily make purple shades. Use the lid as the palettes for mixing and all that sort of stuff. It's a really nice, simple set, compact, easy, and I do prefer, I think, to a degree, I do prefer these drier little palettes for watercolor painting. I have a Kneadable, Faber-Castell Kneadable eraser in here. I put it in a bag. It's a bit of a pain to get out, but it keeps everything around it clean as well. Really great for picking up stuff off the paper. Being able to take up, when I'm doing like shading sketches and stuff, if I go overboard, just like moving this across and does help me sort of clean that up a bit without, once again, erasing everything and, having to be sort of too clean with it all. A few little squares of tissue paper for blending and shading. Simple, nothing fancy, but does the job once again. Then I have some ink in here. So I carry 3 samples of Robert Oster inks. I love using Robert Oster inks for my artwork. They work really well with water. They have good like light resistance and things like that. So they're really nice inks, and I have quite a collection of them. So I generally tend to like cycle through a few, and so I'll do a couple of works with a couple of these inks, and I'll wash out these cartridges, these sample vials, and I'll change out the ink to another Robert Oster ink. So at the moment I have Tokyo Denim Blue, which is a beautiful. Actually, let's take them out again. These are sample vials, like old vials I have from Goulet pens of inks that I've used before. So yeah, Robert Oster Tokyo Denim Blue, which is a lovely sort of nice blue there. I have Forest Green, which is beautiful and works so well with water. It's a really lovely ink to draw with. And then Gold Antiqua at the moment, which will be one that I have for a couple of artworks I have coming up that I have been thinking about using this ink for. But yeah, they get changed out every couple of times I use them. It's just a nice sort of convenient, easy way of carrying it without having to carry around too many of those 50ml Robert Oster bottles. I then also carry, these are permanently in the set. These are 4 of my favourite Diamine inks, and these are both handy to carry around for a number of reasons. It gives me ink always on supply, and like Oxford Blue, which I use more than any other ink, but also really good for art as well. So Burnt Sienna, Sherwood Green, Oxford Blue, and Grape. These are the 30ml bottles, and good transportable bottles. Once again, in lock-seal bags. I try and keep a lot of my stuff in lock-seal bags because it's safer. But yes, that's what I have in there. And there's a little back pocket, which is another zippered pouch on the back, which I don't bother zipping up because it's just easy for me to get my stuff that way. I have this, which is a divider, which like it comes in just one of those like little student math kits. It's got the 2 points. It's not a compass. It's got the 2 points, so I can measure out distances in. If I'm using a reference drawing for a drawing, I can like measure out dimensions, all those sorts of things, and also you can sort of plot distances, and you can actually plot circles without having to actually draw them on the page. It gives you a bit more freer sort of use of the space. Super handy, super cheap. We've used it a lot. You don't need it. I don't need a fancier one. This is like the most basic one I could find, and it's exactly what I needed. The last 3 things in here are sort of staple stuff. Like, so I have a single piece of sandpaper from my little, like, this is for sharpening the leads of pencils. I don't do that often. I just generally tend to like sharpen them. But I have one sheet of the sandpaper here because I've been doing a lot of ink sort of work, but one thing I've been experimenting with is taking like ink off the page. Like, you know, and I've actually found like with some good quality thick paper, you can like sand the ink off the page, or you can like do interesting shading effects by like removing a lot of the ink once it's dry. And so yeah, just an interesting effect that I've done with a little piece of sandpaper, which I keep in there for that use. The last thing is a full set of the Faber-Castell, well, not full set, but a 6 set of the Faber-Castell 9000 series, which has an H, HB, 2B, 4B, 6B, and 8B pencil. These I keep all unused. So like as I use them, I put them in the other part of the case if I'm using them. But I rarely use anything other than the 2, the 4, sometimes the 6 or the 8, mainly an 8 there. But nice little tin, nice way to carry good quality pencils, and they are like, they're really, really nice pencils. Like there are sort of more expensive pencils, there are fancier pencils, but for me, like there's nothing wrong with using these Faber-Castell pencils. I like them, I like the way they feel in my hand, and I like the lead, so that's it. And that's what's in my case. So like in terms of like art supply stuff, that's pretty much it. Like that's all I really use. Like I've got other containers of, you know, different sorts of watercolors and brushes and pencils. Oh, I didn't mention actually these 2. So I have a white pencil, which is a Derwent Studio Chinese white number 72. I use this for drawing on black paper, and I suppose it could also be used for like putting some shading in on other drawings and things like that, but mainly use this yeah, for drawing on black paper. You might have seen a couple on my Instagram. Really nice and sort of a interesting brain exercise to be drawing the light as opposed to like drawing in the dark, which is really quite cool. The other pencil I have here is another Polychromos pencil. It's the 186 Terracotta. I love terracotta color. Actually, I'll just quickly show it to you on the page. Just might as well just bring that up. So that's the terracotta there. I really like this for sketching. And because it's not a grey lead, you can't rub it out. So like, you actually have to be intentional, and sometimes being intentional is really great. Like, I love being free and easy, just sketching what I want, but sometimes being intentional I find really, really great. So I'm just going to quickly pack this up, then I'll show you the two main books I use for my art. So I have two main books I use for my art. This is the one I use for my ink drawings and watercolor stuff. It's an Etchr sketchbook. This is A5, this is cold press. It's really cool. It's got a canvas cover, which a lot of people decorate, like, and they actually paint these. I'm looking at options for that because I'm not entirely sure. Like, I just also like the fact that it picks up where it's been. If you've watched many of my videos, like about my leather products and things like that, you know I actually enjoy when things pick up my life. But in the end, I might end up decorating this. Like, I might, if I can play with some ink on it, or on, you know, canvasy materials, and see what happens with them, and then, you know, see what I want to do with it. But I really like I'm going to be doing a review of this, but I really like the way the inks sort of respond on this paper. Like, it's really quite, like, they look good and they move nicely, and it's sort of it's just a nice sort of paper to use for that. I also carry just a sheet of regular watercolor paper for like seeing how particular inks move. Every ink reacts differently, but also like just sort of diluting stuff. I can scribble on here and then pick up a bit of it if I need to do some shading or something without having to put actual ink on the actual page. Super handy. This is just I think St. Cuthbert's Mill, I think, paper. Nothing fancy, but these are really nice books, and they travel well. You know, like, they've got a huge social media presence, Etchr, and I'm really happy with it. The other book I use is a Milini sketchbook. Now, this is just something I picked up at a local art store. It's nothing fancy once again. It's just sort of slightly smaller than A4. It's got, you know, good quality paper in it, like 150 GSM acid-free paper. It performs well. Like, I carry it with a couple of Bulldog clips on there just to sort of know where I'm up to and all those sorts of things. But like, this is a sketch I did in here a little while back, doing some shading and, you know, exercises and stuff. Like, yeah, it writes, it draws nicely. It sort of, you know, allows for try out a few different effects and things. And as I said, it was just from a local art store. So if you've got suggestions of these sorts of books, like I'm you know, looking at getting an A5 sort of drawing cartridge book as well, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to see sort of what is around. But yes, that was my little walkthrough of my art supplies that I generally use. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, always like to support the channel. Get in touch. Let's see what we can do. It's your support that makes these videos possible. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy your art, all of that sort of stuff, and I'll talk to you soon.